Good morning, everyone. My name is Alie Cantu, and I'm a registered dietitian here with the chef program and here at the San Antonio Foodbank. So I know there's a few new faces that I hadn't met before, so welcome. I'm glad you could join us this morning. And I just, as a show of hands, who was here last week to hear the first session of our gut health? Okay, wonderful, awesome. So I will do a quick review or recap. And I also do a little bit of a pop quiz for those of you that were here. We are doing a series this month in December of gut-brain connection, and that's what we're calling it, the gut-brain connection. So who has heard of that gut-brain connection or the axis that we're talking about, right? Wonderful. So through our telephone line, what we like to call our telephone line, or what we consider the vagus nerve, our brain communicates with our gut, and our gut communicates with our brain through that telephone line, our nerve system. And the way that works, it's really wonderful. So again, think about if you're nervous or anxious and you get butterfly feelings in your stomach. That's, again, you're thinking about it, you're getting nervous and anxious, and then you're feeling it in your gut, in your stomach, right? When you have butterflies in your stomach. Same way around. You maybe have an upset stomach, or you also have like a food bug or some food poisoning. Again, your stomach is hurting, you're not in a great spot, and mentally we can start to feel a little bit of anxious, either depression or even it alter our overall mood. So again, that gut-brain axis. And the way it works too is we thought it was about 50-50. We can go both ways, but in actuality, it's about 90% of the communication goes from the gut to the brain. That's why it's called our second brain. So just a little bit of a tidbit of what we talked about last week. And today we're going to continue on that and talk about food that can support our gut microbiome, the bacteria in our gut. Again, that can help us with our emotions, with our also our mental health is a little bit of what we're talking about today. So does anyone have any questions about that axis or what we're talking about? No? Alrighty, well I figured we'd jump right on in. So today we're doing 3 different recipes just to bring this concept all together in one. We're starting off with our Pepita Oat-Crusted salmon, and then we're going to make an herb yogurt dip on the side to go with it. And then we were gifted some wonderful beet greens just a few weeks ago, and they're not on your plate because I will demonstrate it, but then we can all taste it together. But we have some beet greens as well, and we're going to make a pesto out of that. And then we also have some Brussels sprouts, so we're going to do a shaved Brussels sprout salad. I know we wanted to do some warm Brussels sprouts, but this time there's only so much space that we have in the oven today. So we're going to make it on the side while our salmon is cooking this morning. All right, so we're going to jump right on in. Who cooks salmon at home right now? All right, wonderful. What do you like to do when you cook salmon?
Either steam it or bake it.
Or bake it? Okay, wonderful. What do you do, Donna?
I do it on the grill.
Ooh, okay. I love that. Sounds delicious. So again, kind of along that line of doing a crust on it, that's what we're doing today with our Pepita oat crust. And so, does anyone know what pepitas are? Pumpkin seeds, right? So actually, just fun fact, the pepitas are when it's hulled, and that could be any type of squash, the seed inside, and that's when you could see it green like this because it's been hulled already. And then just a regular pumpkin seed has the hull on the outside. So if you just were to carve out your pumpkin and you use those seeds, that would be considered a true pumpkin seed. But these are what we're calling pepitas. So in our crust, and I already went ahead and blended it for us today. In our crust, we have pepitas. We also have oats. That's where it's getting the name from, right? And then we blended in a few extra seasonings and spices with paprika, along with some dill weed, and then some garlic. So I blended it all together, a little salt, a little pepper, and that is what we have here in our, you have it in a larger cup. It should be a larger clear cup today. So if you want to just take a quick smell. Smells delicious. What is the first thing you smell? Garlic. Garlic's always pretty strong. Do you smell any of the dill weed in it as well? A little bit on the end? Yeah, maybe shake it. So this is what we're going to coat our salmon in today. Again, we're getting we're trying to aim for those ingredients that help our gut microbiome. So those 3 types of food are going to be fiber, prebiotics, and probiotics. So pre and pro, I always get those mixed up, and the best way I could tell you is think of how it's spelled. Prebiotics is with an E, so it's what bacteria will eat. The probiotics are the actual organism. So that's going to be live bacteria, live cultures that we'll eat. So in our mix this morning, we're getting our prebiotics and some fiber with the oats, as well as the oats and the pepitas are going to give us lots of fiber this morning. So we're going to use this along with our salad, but just for this portion of the recipe. So what we're going to start off with is we have some olive oil, and then we're just going to take about a tablespoon or a spoon amount and coat the whole salmon in oil.
Do we coat it on where it's at or on our plate?
Where it's at, because we're going to put it from here where it's at, yes. On the tray, we're going to put it right into the oven from here. All right, so this is why we have the gloves, so that way we don't have salmon juice all over us. We're going to go ahead and coat the salmon, and I like to also coat the skin because the skin has lots of vitamins and minerals in it as well. It's rich in omega-3s, which is a healthy or an unsaturated type of fat, and then it also has vitamin E in it. So that's why I like coating also the skin, because I like eating the skin, especially if it's a little crunchy. But again, it's a preference. I know sometimes the texture can be a little different for others. And now I'm going to get our oat crust, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it right on top. And I'm going to rub it all in. If you want to, yes. Let's go ahead and do both. That sounds great. Thank you. And then sometimes the salmon can be kind of thick, so I like it all around. So I'm going to go ahead and put it also on the side, turn it sideways to get a nice coat in there. Yes, once you have it coated in olive oil, then we're going to put our cup of our Pepita oat crust on. You could do just the top. The bottom, it won't really affect the skin as much, but I do like to coat the sides. In case you have like a thick salmon, mine's a little bit thinner, but I'm still coating the side. I love that flavor all around. So again, that gut microbiome, we're thinking of the bacteria, and they work hard each and every day for us. Again, I know the tip or the fact that we gave last week is there's about 1 trillion, I believe over 1 trillion bacteria all around us, on our skin, in our gut, even in our hair. And so again, we're mainly trying to focus on those gut bacteria, trying to help them, especially with the digestion process. So I'm going to take off my gloves now. And we're going to take it right to the oven. We're baking it at 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I like to make sure it's completely cooked through. Whenever we're cooking salmon, we could be extremely particular about it and have a thermometer and measure it and see that it would be we want it to get to at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's how we know it's cooked to an internal temperature that is safe for us to eat, at least at this point. So now that I have it coated, we're gonna take it straight to the oven. So I'm gonna hit this way. Again, we made our Pepita oat crust. Again, these pepitas, we're also looking at other nutrients that are rich in vitamins and minerals that will also help us to either help us to calm down, reduce our anxiety, because we're looking at, again, total mental health with the foods that we're eating. So a few of the vitamins and minerals we'll point out today is vitamin D, any B vitamins, also omega-3s, iron, zinc, and magnesium. So the pepitas are rich in zinc, magnesium, and then as well as plant-based iron. So zinc is an important mineral that helps to carry out a lot of functions throughout all of our body. So we're trying to get a good source of zinc as well, because when we are lacking zinc, then again, our body's going to start to feel sluggish, kind of similar to iron. When we don't have enough iron, we start to see that, again, very sluggish, lethargic, tired feeling. But it's because of two different reasons. The zinc is because it's in many different bodily functions, and the iron that's in the pepitas is because it helps our red blood cells, right, to carry oxygen in the hemoglobin. It's a specific piece of our red blood cells, and it carries that oxygen throughout the body. So without it, again, that's where we can start to feel a little sluggish. And then magnesium. Magnesium is, again, another mineral that is wonderful in calming us down. So anytime we can have natural magnesium, natural melatonin, then that's going to, again, help us to calm us down. It can even help us with our sleep schedule, to relax just a little bit more, and always great to have it in our food. So we're just, instead of having to take the supplement, or in addition to, if you are taking a supplement, again, we're getting it in the food, so double whammy with us. We also, again, are getting the fiber from our oats, but the garlic, I did want to point out, the garlic that we used in our crust that we went and blended all together, the garlic is a rich prebiotic. Again, can you tell me what the prebiotics do? It feeds the bacteria, it helps the bacteria, it's what they eat. So that's the way we remember. But again, garlic and onions are a really great way to get some extra prebiotics in the day. So next, we're going to work on our herbed yogurt dip, so that way all the flavors can meld together. So here we have one for a pair of you, and we're going to share it. We're going to mix it with our herbs today. So can anyone guess what's in our little cup of herbs? Parsley. There's one other thing. You may have to, again, oregano? Not oregano. Chives. Yeah. You may have to mix it. They are at the bottom just a little bit. So we're doing dried chives and some parsley in here. And I'm going to go ahead and add it to our yogurt. And you could do this as a pair together. And we're going to just blend it all in. Like we said with the yogurt is our probiotics. Again, it has the organism, and one way you could check that is at the bottom of the yogurt or at the back of the container. It'll say live and active organisms, or it'll even have the full fancy term like lactobacillus on it, and that's the specific type or strain of bacteria that we're consuming today. So we have some fiber, pre, and probiotics in our recipe now. So we're going to let this all sit together while we work on our salad. So our salad, we're doing a shaved Brussels sprouts, pretty similar to what we did last week. And with this one, again, we're trying to get that fiber in here, more colors into our meal for today when we plate it all at the end. And so we're going to do a little bit of knife safety as well when we start. And if you want any extra gloves, I set some extra gloves up here just in case, but because we're making our own food today, I feel pretty comfortable cutting my own food without gloves. So whenever we cut, again, and I know this may sound a little familiar, we, especially with a mat like this, want to put some either paper towel underneath it or even put it on top of a regular cutting board. So I'm going to turn and grab my cutting board for just a second. So we can put it on top of another cutting board or put a napkin underneath it. So I believe all of you have napkins. So I just learned this from Chef Greg here, who works with our culinary students. And when we use just a regular mat underneath, it can dull our blade pretty easily. So have you ever heard a dull blade is actually the most dangerous kind of blade? Because then you're having to gnaw at your food, continue going back and forth. And again, that can actually hurt us a whole lot more because we're putting too much pressure in it. We want our blade to work for us today. So if you have a cutting mat at home like this, to put either a paper towel, it helps to prevent it from slipping as well, or putting it on top of another cutting board is just a fun fact that I learned, so we're not dulling our blade. When we grab our knives too, we want to pinch it with our thumb and our forefinger, and then just curl the rest of the fingers underneath. And so that way we are guiding the blade. I see, Ivory, you're doing it already. I noticed what you were doing. Perfect. That was perfect technique. So what we're doing is anytime we cut, we want to make sure that the front or the tip of our blade stays on the cutting board. And then as we go back and forth, we just want to have this motion. We don't want to hear, because then when we're cutting down like this, we're putting too much pressure. We can actually dull the blade, first of all. And then two, that's another reason we can get an injury in the kitchen. So that was another just fun fact I recently learned. And we had a whole training for all of our nutrition team here at the food bank. So again, when we're cutting, we're using our claw technique. I'm going to go ahead and hold the Brussels sprout, and I'm just going to cut very fine sliver. And again, using this technique, I'm just letting the knife work for me. I'm going straight forward with it. Then I'm going to cut it in half, so that way it has a flat surface. Because again, this little Brussels sprout is rolling all over the place. However you want to cut it works best, but I like to create a flat surface. And then now that I have it this way, I can make small cuts. And we're just going to go ahead and shave our Brussels sprouts. The really awesome thing too is some grocery stores, I know I've seen them at H-E-B and Walmart in the area, they'll have it already shaved for us, but this is just another way we can do it at home. Always using good technique, or a good safety really, is that we want to curl our fingers underneath.
If I shave,
We're just cutting fine pieces. So if you here, I'm curling my fingers and then I'm going just up and down and not moving the knife as much and not moving the produce. I'm just going straight up and down and trying to get as thin as I can. Sometimes too, the stem is still on and it's pretty difficult. So when doing that, you can always cut that piece off. And so just gonna go ahead and shave up and down, being extra cautious. Another way you can shave, so there's lots of different ways. I could throw it here in the food processor and just give it a quick whirl a few times. So that's another way. It's not going to be as ribbon, not look as nice. It'll just look like crunches or all mixed together. Another way you can do this is with a mandolin. And this is a fun gadget you can have in the kitchen. A mandolin is going to, you may see it to get slices, and you can go up and down on the mandolin as well. Those are a little bit dangerous, and we don't have as many here in our kitchen, so I didn't include it today. But I'm going to go ahead and shave our Brussels sprouts. So I know we are a big fan of Brussels sprouts here in our group with ThriveWell. What are some other recipes that you like to use Brussels sprouts in?
bacon, a little bit of onions.
Ooh, okay.
Do a balsamic glaze.
Oh, wonderful.
Anything tasty with bacon.
That sounds delicious. What was that, Jose? Oh. Yes, everything tastes great with bacon. Very true. Well, we don't have any bacon, but we're going to add some Parmesan to the recipe in order to get at least a little bit more of a savory, salty flavor. All right. Yes, it's going to go into the bowl. And in the bowl, I already put the Parmesan in there. And it's about a little over a tablespoon of Parmesan. So if you're not a huge fan of Brussels sprouts, or at least not a huge fan of them raw, you definitely don't have to add them in. Again, that's the beauty of a recipe, is we can always make it our own. All right. Another fun technique you can use after, so if you notice some larger pieces especially when you're getting to the end. I always get scared that I'm going to cut a fingertip off, so I leave some larger pieces. You can guide the blade up with a hand on top and then just go straight across. And just do one last rough chop. If you ever see in instructions, I know sometimes seeing recipes and they're like, what does a rough chop actually mean? And so you can just do a rock chop, because you're rocking back and forth, but very large pieces still. Okay. I know with the holidays coming up, Brussels sprouts, any which way, either warm. Hopefully now that it's getting a little bit cooler here in San Antonio, we can enjoy some warm recipes. But even a quick salad like this can go a long way. Just with one bag of Brussels sprouts is what we're making all today. All right, so I'm going to do one last rough chop. How's everyone doing? Okay, I was like, it's very quiet this morning. It seems like we're very focused. All righty. Okay, and I'm just going to add this right into the mix. Okay, I see a few people kind of wrapping up with the Brussels sprouts. Maybe, maybe not. I know. Awesome. Okay. Great technique. Yeah, looks good. Okay. So I noticed if you are also using the blade to pick up your Brussels sprouts, and you can definitely do that again whenever we're teaching classes for children, or if you have a child in the kitchen with you. Again, want to maybe encourage using either another spatula or something else to scrape. It could be quick and easy, you just cut to the hand. So we do like to encourage that safety. But if you are using your knife, you can turn it around and then scrape up this way as well. So a little bit less dangerous for us in the kitchen. So yeah, just turning it around. It also won't dull your blade as quickly. So since we're in a chopping mood, we're chopped our Brussels sprouts, we're going to add a little bit of sweetness with an apple. I know I already cut everyone's apple today, but just one quick way, I did not core it before I cut it. I'm trying to get as most of the apple as we can, because we're also trying to reduce the food waste in our kitchen. So again, I went ahead and just cut it straight down the middle and kept cutting until we got enough pieces. So it was about 1/8 of one huge, large Honeycrisp apple. In order to core it, since we didn't core it to begin, we're going to go at an angle and cut through to take that core out. And you could do as little as you want. Some have a little bit more core, and again, I wasn't too precise on who got the core and who didn't. But if you are trying to take out the seeds and the core, all you have to do is add an angle, again, with the blade coming down at about a 45-degree angle. We're going to just take out the core, any seeds. Some people like this piece. It has a lot of extra fiber, but we're getting lots of fiber not only from the apple, but also the skin. I didn't take the skin off today. So we have that, and then I'm just going to go ahead and slice it a few more times. Again, using my claw, trying to create a flat edge with what I just cut off, and making a few more slices. And then you can have slices for your salad this morning, or you can also dice it. So if we wanted to dice, I'll walk through that process. So I went ahead, made my slices, and then I'm going to turn it so that the slices are up and down or vertical, and I'm going to cut through the middle. Now, depending on how big you want your apple pieces, you can make 2 or 3 cuts here, just depending on how big you want it. And then once I have cut it down the middle, I'm going to turn it again 90 degrees to get and go the opposite direction in my slice. All right. And that's okay too. It's like, I'm not too particular here in the kitchen if you make the noise. Maybe not with Gordon Ramsay, but anyone else, you'd probably be just fine. Yeah. Alrighty. So now that I have the apple cut up, we're going to also do a cut of our chives. So again, we use the dried chives for our yogurt. We're doing some fresh chives for our salad. So it'll kind of just blend right on in. But before we cut into them, go ahead and kind of rub them in your hands. And I can wait a few moments too. And then try to smell it. Again, we're releasing the aromatic essential oils in our spice, in our herb today. A little faint. Can you smell it? Yeah, just a little. It smells a little earthy though, right? It does. It'll kind of pair well with our beets that we're using today that are still pretty earthy. Alrighty, so what I'm doing to make it a little bit easier is I'm going to just fold it up maybe twice and creating a bunch with it. Then I'm going to just chop finely. Again, being cautious of where my fingers are at. Always trying to curl them under. And depending on how large of chives you want, again, you can do this rock chop again, the rock chop where you're going like this, a hand guiding on top and just going back and forth. Alrighty. So it depends on how large you want your chives, and then like Donna's doing, just add it straight on in. Again, this could be another, if you have a spatula, a scoop, any flat utensil, you can grab and pick up. The really great thing that I like about these mats, the cutting mats, is you can pick it up if you have some space and just go straight in. Alrighty. So we're building our flavors. We're adding a little bit more color with our dried cranberries this morning. So I'm going to just throw this in. Again, that fiber from a dried cranberry is really wonderful. So the difference between a fresh and a dried fruit, so like the berries, like the apples, that fresh, of course, is going to have a little bit more water content. So if we're ever thinking or worried about our water intake, or maybe we just don't like drinking or the flavor of water, think about how you're getting water in all the foods that you're eating today too. So we're getting a little bit from our apples as well. And I went ahead and added in our sunflower seeds too. All right. So we're mixing it all in. And last but not least is we're going to make our vinaigrette for this morning. Let me make sure I'm getting it all in. Yes, add the sunflower seeds in. We're adding our cranberries in. Getting a nice mix in there. And then we're going to make our vinaigrette for this morning. So we have olive oil. We're going to add in, can anyone tell me what this is? If you take a garlic paste? Oh, it's like Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard, yes. I know, sometimes our eyes can fool us and our nose really gives us away. What was that? Gotcha. If you need more, we definitely have some extra oil here. If you use all your oil, here you go. Ooh, okay. Let's see. Let me step over. I have some extra little plates here. If anyone needs an extra plate.
Okay, thank you. Is that how much?
You'll need just a little bit more.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can use those? Yes. Oh, we have lids for. Oh yeah, you could definitely shake them. We have lids. Here you go. I'll slide this way. You don't have to at all. We'll keep them as extra ingredients. Alrighty, so we're making our salad dressing. So again, I'm using a little bit of the extra olive oil. It's about a tablespoon, a little over a tablespoon or so. I'm going to add in our Dijon mustard. And I liked the idea that we had over here was to, instead of adding the mustard into the oil, using the same little container that the mustard came in, adding the oil into it, and then you can shake it. So if you have a mason jar at home, it works just as well. There's some lids, you can close it on up and give it a nice shake. Again, you can have fun with it, especially if you have music going on in the kitchen. Yeah, you have some shakes, you can have some fun. I know, it's like, especially with those Christmas jams going on. Yeah. Oh yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix it. We're also gonna add some citrus in. So we're adding a little bit of lemon. That's what our lemon is here for. Our lemon, we're using it double ways today. So if you didn't see, most of the lemon was on top of your apple. The citric acid in a lemon is actually helping to prevent the apple from oxidizing. So if you have lemons, you can use them both ways, a little squirt onto your apples. Any cut fruits that will turn brown pretty quickly, you can add that in. Here we go. And that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice whirl. Sometimes a whisk or even a fork is a little bit easier for this process too. And then, before we finish, give it a little taste. So I'm going to go ahead and taste it here. Once I like the consistency, I don't see that the oil is separated. And that's the beauty of the mustard. So whenever we're using mustard, it's called an emulsifier. Emulsifier means it's getting those flat globules and it's actually breaking them up and it's coming together with any of the other ingredients. So here we emulsified our fat with that mustard, the Dijon mustard, bringing it together to create our dressing this morning. Then I'm going to give it a taste. Ooh, it has a nice little sweetness, but also the tanginess of it. Yeah, that's a great one. And then I'm going to add it right on over. So we just made our own. You could add some extra honey. If you had honey at home, you can make like a honey mustard seasoning. Some honey if it's too tangy for you, or maybe a little bitter. And I'm just adding it right onto our salad. Questions? Oil, just a bit more oil, yes. How's our salad dressing turning out there? Delicious? Yeah. Best salads? I'm glad to hear. I know, we like to make salads fun. After a while, having iceberg lettuce or something very plain can get old. And I'm a proponent of some fun. Mm-hmm. And there's no right or wrong way to make a salad, which is great. You're still getting, again, that fiber. We're supporting our gut microbiome. There's a lot of benefits with fiber in it. So I'm just going to give it a nice mix so that we have also the Parmesan that was at the bottom of the bowl. We're mixing that in too. So it has some nice color, some flavor in it. Alrighty. And I'm going to let it sit while I just go ahead and demonstrate how we're making our pesto. So for our pesto, like I shared a little bit earlier, a pesto is, you can use really any green. Thankfully, we had a lot of extra beet greens with us today. So before I do that, I'm gonna pull out our salmon just to double check on it and make sure we're all good. Nothing's burned in here. And then I'll show how we can make some pesto. So you could do either a creamy yogurt sauce to go with it, or you can have some pesto. Let me check on our salmon. Now that our salmon has come out, I'm gonna go ahead and let it rest for a little bit. So that way it's what we call the finishing or the last cooking piece to it. So it's just gonna finish cooking. Another way you can tell that salmon is ready is how the crust or how the skin is doing. So this skin, I can see it almost starting to separate. And so that's another way I like to see that it's done. All right. So I'm gonna let it sit for a second. Okay, so our pesto. Again, these beet greens that we had today, they were an extra gift from our farm team here at the food bank. And we've been trying to figure out what do we do with our beet greens. There's multiple things that you can do, especially when they're fresh. You can make them and add it into a salad like we did this morning. You can add it into our shaved Brussels sprout salad. You can blanch them. You can use them in a few different ways. So putting them into a little bit of boiling water and then putting them into ice water after. You'll see a nice bright green color. But anytime you're using beets, the best way I would recommend, or at least the beet greens, so the top of it, is to soak them in water, because usually they're always covered, or they're very earthy, right? We taste them, we know them to be very earthy, because usually they have a little bit of soil still on it, so we always give it a good rinse, but then give it a good soak as well. We have our greens, our beet greens, were a little bit older, and they're already starting to look a little wilty. So instead, what we're doing is we're going to try to save them before they go, and we're going to make some pesto with it. So again, another way you can use and make sure you use all parts of our fruits and veggies, and we're trying to save them before they completely turn. So I'm going to go ahead and add it here into our food processor. I'm going to add a little more. So this is about a cup of beet greens, and with that, again, any pesto we use a nut. So today we had lots of almonds in the back here in our pantry, so I'm going to add almonds in, and it is about 1/4 of a cup. So just about. I have a few extra. I'm going to throw it in too. And then you can use any nut. So if you buy the pepitas at home, you already had it for using the crust. You can also throw the pepitas in too, and those would be just fine. We have 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. And this is going to be a pinch. There you go. And our pepper. Ooh, if I can get it open. There we go. Okay, and then to add a little bit more flavor, again, those prebiotics with our garlic, I'm adding that in, and to bring out all the flavor, the spices that we're putting in today, as well as the vitamin C that we're getting from our lemon has an added benefit anytime we're adding it with items that have, or foods that have iron in it. So our plant-based iron that we have today from our beet greens as well as our nuts, I'm going to use the vitamin C. When we pair them two together, our body is able to use that iron just a little bit more. So I'm trying to pair it as much as I can. There we go. Some nice flavor. Before I add our oil in, I'm going to give it a quick stir. Quick whirl to chop it up. All right. I'm going to add the oil in. And you can add it as much oil, kind of eyeball it up first. I'm starting off with about 1 tablespoon of oil. And we can definitely go up more from there, depending on the consistency that you want. So if you want it a little more soupy in a sense, a little more oil, and it to spread further, you can do that. There we go. Or if you want it more like chunky. You can keep it without as much oil, which is what we're doing today. Alrighty, and now we have our pesto ready to use. So I had some made as well, and after it's sat for about maybe an hour, hour and a half, it actually has a little bit of the pink from the beets. So if you want to try it with your salmon, we can definitely use some of the pesto for today. Again, we're just trying to make every piece of the plant that we received edible, reusable, and then too, we saved these beet bulbs at the bottom. So does anyone have a garden at home? A garden? So, fun fact, I just learned that you can actually plant these and regrow the beets and get a full beet to come out of just a little bulb like this. So if anyone wants to take some beets or try it at home, again, they're more of a root vegetable, so they're gonna have that winter or perfect time for the winter to grow. So you can definitely take some of the beet greens and plant them in, just make sure that there's enough space between them. And then just check on them every so often, just to make sure that they are still alive, still in there. You'll see the shoot come back out. And then once the shoot comes back out, you can pull them all out and see how large your beets have gone. So again, if anyone wants to try them at home, you can even try it in a pot. Just make sure it's a deep enough pot. You can put a lot of soil in it and want to have some space in it too. But yeah, so we have some extra beets thanks to our farm team here at the Food Bank. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and plate our salmon now that it's rested just a little bit. I'm gonna use this bowl. We have our salad to go with it. So now we have a full meal going on, and I'm gonna put a dollop of our yogurt on top on one side. And then you can also put a dollop of pesto on the other side if you'd like. Again, just another way we're trying to reduce how much food waste we have, anything, even saving our lemons, putting this in a little bit of vinegar and letting it sit for about 2 to 3 weeks. You can create, again, another clean type of ingredient at home, because the rind is gonna have still a lot of that citrus smell, and also the added benefit of it being a little bit of antimicrobial in it too. So, yeah, you could do that too. You'll still, that's perfect, because it'll still help to smell, or help your kitchen to smell like a little bit of citrus. Alrighty, and I'm gonna try some pesto too. If anyone wants to take some home, we have some extra little containers, or try it today. But this is our Pepita Oat-Crusted salmon with our herbed yogurt dip. And then we have our shaved Brussels sprout salad. So we have a full meal today. Again, we're getting those 3 powerful ingredients, or powerful types of food that help our gut microbiome. Can anyone tell me what the 3 were we talked about today? Prebiotics. We talked about another one. Probiotics. We talked about one last one.
Was it the one with the M? Iron?
Magnesium and iron, we talked about those today, which are wonderful, but we're also getting some fiber in here as well. Lots of great fiber. So those, again, 3 ingredients, 3 key pieces of food that we can include in our diet to help our gut microbiome, to help us to feel and promote our own mental health. So just without it, it's great. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us here at the Food Bank, and I hope you have happy holidays. Yeah, and enjoy the lunch.